Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Donald Trump imposes tariffs on China of 245%. 245. I will show you Donald Trump's strategy, and I will show you the Chinese answer to that. I will put it in the context of Japan and the Second World War, because the some Chinese reached their, how should I put it, their patience. It's running out. And then we're going to show you how the Chinese retaliated with rare earth minerals. They stopped sending them, selling them. Well, will United States of America be able to win this trade tariff war or not? Both will lose, but eventually someone has to be the bigger loser. Who might that be? All right, let's start with the first article with the tariffs. Here, Russia Today. This is from the 16th of April 2025. United States of America threatens China with 245% tariff. The warning comes amid an escalating trade war between Washington and Beijing. Chinese imports to the U.S. could face tariffs as high as 245, according to the White House fact sheet released on Tuesday. The warning comes amid a growing trade rift between the world's two largest economies. China now faces up to 245% tariffs on imports to the United States as a result of its retaliatory actions. The fact sheet reads, so we have to do it because you attacked us economically, financially with the tariffs, and then we react. That's what it is, right? From 125, right? They get 145 and now they go to 245 or something like that. Next, the sheet. Trump administration levies up to 245% tariff on China. Again from the 16th. President Trump administration has hiked tariffs on Chinese imports to the United States by up to 245%, as per a fact sheet released by the White House on April 15. So they say here they already did it. In the other one, they said Chinese imports to the United States could face tariffs as high as 245. So the point is 245. What are you going to do? Well, the Chinese will not bow down. And I'm going to show you who actually lost from this so far. I will explain. I will probably use a personal story, short one, but I will also use in negotiations who comes with an offer and who exposes, who offers something, a deal, is usually the one who wants something, right? And then what do you do when you do that? You wait for the other side to respond to your things. All right, let's go to analyze this article. And I have another one related to the same topic. Inside Trump's strategy to get China to the negotiating table. What if the Chinese don't want to negotiate? All right, you're going to blackmail them? Well, and I picked this article for the first sentence. President Donald Trump wants Chinese leader Xi Jinping to call. All right. The street. Trump wants Xi Jinping to call him. Ex-official says, show respect to China. So Trump wants Xi Jinping to call. This is how it usually works. I want something from you and I act. Let's say I want something from you and I grab you by the throat and I squeeze. What's the reaction? You either say, stop! That means you, by my action, will contact me. You don't do this and say, okay, now what are you going to do? Tell me, are you going to? No, you do that, the action. So Trump wants the other guy to call him. That's not how it works. You say, I'm going to hurt you, and turn around and wait. And the other guy will say, excuse me, can we talk? I'm busy right now. Give me 5 minutes. Oh my God, I didn't have my watch with me? Jesus Christ, we can't have that. So anyway, that's my... So I can put my necklace here on while on right here because, necklace is, I don't even know where it's at. Right here. Okay, not here, not now. So anyway, you wait for the other guy. You don't tell, now call me. How is it? Call me. He's going to do exactly the same thing that you were supposed to. I did it to you and wait for you. No, call me. I'm going to give you an example, a very short example. When I was younger, I had a colleague, I'm not going to give you his name, I went to school with. And this guy was not part of our gang, or he was a child in Romania. You were tough, considered, or, person of interest if you were a fighter, if a good fighter, if you were strong. That's one. The other one, if you had women around you and you play soccer very well, football. So these were three in the lowest level of our schoolyard, okay? You play soccer well, the girls like you, and you punch people in the face, you're tough. These were the constituents. This guy was none of this. Getting good grades was not an attribute of being looked after. That was the level, okay? So this guy was not part of us. He was just a guy over there, a weak person. And this weak person, we never talked to the guy. So, it was nothing. So that was in school. And then after school, after high school, I met this guy. We were at the cars and we met on the street in his neighborhood. And he was with a girl. And anyway, so we rolled down the window. And he said, what's going on? How are you? I haven't seen you for a while. Remember, for me, this guy was don't even talk to me. Rolled down the window and said, what, how are you doing? Oh, I said, yeah, okay, how are you doing? Just getting, but you have to say hi. So he said, before we left, he was with a girl. So I said, okay, he wants to impress or something, because he wouldn't dare. So he said, before we left, I said, okay, bye-bye. He said, call me. What? Come again? I said, okay, all right. And I left, and I didn't want to burst his romance with a girl that he was with. And I was like, call me. Why would I call you? It's what? You know what I mean? I can tell Trump right now, call me, Trump. Call me. I'm waiting for Trump to call me. Who the hell are you? The same here. Call me. Trump tells Xi Jinping, because Xi Jinping does not react to Trump's actions. So he's begging. That's how I see it. But let's see how the Chinese view it. And they view it exactly for what it is, I think. Russia Today, stop blackmailing, China says to US. The White House has insisted Beijing must make a deal and threatened it with tariffs of up to 245%. China gave you their answer. We're not going to talk to you about this yet. You're not going to blackmail us. You're not going to have Xi Jinping call you. That means he lost. Excuse me, Trump, can you talk? Oh, great. No, I don't want to talk right now. The guy, call me. Call who? I don't even know your phone number, god damn it. Anyway, so that's with China. And I'm going to show you something that I claimed many, many times before. And please don't get too upset with me. And if you get upset with me, I don't care. China, countries are led and formed by people, human beings. All human beings have, in general, the same, emotions. We like this, we don't like that, and we function almost always by the same methods of analyzing situations, which is psychologically we act the same. Well, it's details, it's, how should I put it? It's nuances, but we act the same way. We don't like something, we're going to react. We're not going to stay over there. Unless if you're strong, you're going to react that way. If you're weak, you're going to run away. Right? Or if you think the situation is not. So psychologically, we act, the countries act as humans. So if you, let's say, in your childhood, you were beaten up by everybody, all right, and then after that you become a CEO of the company, and all those guys that beat you up as a child because you were a wimp, that's the word. When you become in charge of some, let's say supervisor, and these guys, the old guys that wish to beat you and ridicule you, like me and this guy, all right, in the past, he gets on top of you, he is gonna fuck you up. Why? Usually, not usually, that's a scientific research, psychological scientific research, which says that a person who was emotionally and physically abused will be more likely to abuse in the future once that person gets on top. And that's frustration. It's a kind of like a payback. You have this frustration, you build frustration. I have frustration for some people from my childhood that I didn't get to beat them up. Now, I don't know if I'm going to meet them now and I would have the chance, I will not hurt them or not. You may say, well, Emil, this is a certain kind of level of, you're just, maybe. But remember, that's a war out there. They're not friends. So you may say, well, it's a civil society. Oh, well, China and the United States of America are not friends. They will never be friends. It's the interest. It's a war. I take over you, you take over me. That's how it is. They pretend, and if they would be friends, they wouldn't have no armies. They would just have no tariffs. They would just be like one country. They would get together, get married, but they're not friends. So in this case, China, I think, because of its past, I would put it 120 years, more than 120 years, but let's say 120 years of its history, it was on the receiving end. It was bad. Countries like small European countries, including, if you want, Japan, but Japan was still big, they kicked China in the butt. So China has a memory of at least 4 generations, or 5, where it was kicked in the teeth. Children, first by the Europeans, by the Americans in 1868, opening Commodore Perry opened Yokohama border with his cannons, opened Japan to commerce. They blew Japan. They blew the shit out of those guys over there in Yokohama harbor. That's how we opened up Japan. The same with the China, with Chinese. All these guys, the Europeans, came from across the streets from the other side of the world and did everything they want to China. They raped China. So China has this problem, I think, should have, and if it doesn't, it's weak. That means proves it should be over there, down there. Not smart, weak. Well, you can go to Confucius or you go to Lao Tzu. Which one you want? Confucius or Lao Tzu? All right, so then and I pick one which is the stronger one. So then you have this, I would say, frustrated country that once it gets on top a little bit, is going to start pumping. So in this case, China, I think some of them show this frustration right here. Russia Today. Chinese official mocks U.S. peasants in tariff war jibe. Washington tariff spree will eventually backfire on itself, Xi Jinping has said. A senior Chinese official has slammed U.S. President Donald Trump's, and I'm quoting, extremely arrogant and shameless tariffs against Hong Kong, a special administrative region of China. Xi Jinping, director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, added that the U.S. peasants would wail before the 5,000-year-old civilization. Okay, Beijing shamed the comment as ignorant and disrespectful. That is by right there. So Xia comments in the is the latest in the war of words between U.S. borrows from Chinese peasants to buy things those Chinese peasants manufacture. So this is what JD remarks made this that the U.S. borrows from Chinese peasants to buy things those Chinese peasants manufacture. Beijing slammed that comment as ignorant. So right there, so it was because Vice President Vance insulted. So he remarked that a month ago that U.S. borrows from Chinese peasants to buy things those Chinese peasants manufacture. So this guy said, will eventually what? Mocks U.S. peasants. Why? Because they can. Now you can say, well, you attack me, I attack you. And that's probably exactly what's going on. And let me tell you something with China. The U.S. peasants would wail before the 5,000-year-old civilization. Civilizations come and go. Cultures come and go. Countries come and go. It's the cycle of civilization, which I think it has 8 stages. And, look at the Romans. Where is Italy, if you want to take Rome, and Italy? Look at, for instance, Mesopotamia. Look, for instance, at Iran, for instance, with their Persian Empire. There are many empires that come and go, and look, if you want at plundering, what's his name, Genghis Khan empire, which did not produce shit but plunder. That, I mean, anyway, we'll call it an empire. It was an empire, but a certain kind of empire. Look at Maya, if you want, in Americas, and so on. So it's not like the 5,000 years old civilization. 5,000 years old civilization, remember, you lost against Japan. I mean, this is really shameful, just to put it mildly. So it doesn't mean necessarily that in this case the past actions predict future behavior, but it does, because I think they're frustrated. Let me tell you the story about Japan, which I think China will probably make a mistake. I'm not sure yet. In the Second World War, before the Second World War started, there were many meetings where you have General Tojo, who was in charge of the Japanese military, who said that I'm a military, my job is to fight wars, not to make peace. That's why he was pushing to attack the Americans, to hit the Americans, to get in a war. I'm not going to get into why, but because they tell you only half of the story. The other story is like the other side of the story is like the Americans told the Japanese, no, you can't buy your products from there. We don't let you. So that means we're going to destroy you. Your industry will be depleted of your resources. Therefore, you're going to die. You can't compete with us because we tell you so. Don't buy in Indochina, don't buy in anywhere else because we don't let you. That's our sphere of influence. So the Japanese said, we're going to pull a Tsushima on you. Tsushima is 1904, thinking the Tsar's fleet in the Strait of Tsushima. Surprise attack. So let's go back. So what happened? Tojo, in one of these meetings, war meetings with whomever were over there, administration, how you want to call it, he said that we should attack America right now. What can they do? The only thing that they can do is to manufacture razor blades. That's all the Americans are, peasants, basically. The same. These guys call them. And what happened? The Americans fucked them up because they have the potential. That's what happened. But if you remember Admiral Yamamoto, whom I like very much, the Americans assassinated him while he was in flight, caught him over the Pacific Ocean and killed him. So Yamamoto who said, no, we can't invade the United States of America. We can't invade at that time. So it was Yamamoto, the admiral, the other one in charge, like a Secretary of Defense, if you want to, Tojo. So Yamamoto said, no, we can't attack, because if you're going to try to invade and land troops over there, you're going to have a weapon, and each person's house, these guys are armed, everybody's armed. You can't take over. It's too many people, too many guns. So, all right, so let's go back here. They make a mistake if they think that the Americans are peasants. Americans showed over and over that if they want, they can really screw people up and countries and continents and have a big... All right, so let's see how the Chinese actually retaliated, and retaliated with rare earth minerals. Sputnik. All right, this is from 4 hours ago, today the 17th of April. Rare and rare earth minerals, what they are, where they're mined, and their use. So the rare and rare earth metals are essentially components in various industries, from electronics to defense, but they are rarely found in pure form. Extracting and processing them is difficult and costly. Global reserves. Tell me if you see over there Israel or United States of America or Canada. Russia, 28.5 million tons. China, 44 million tons. You see China? Right there. I think it has 80% of the current exports on the market. China. Without China, you're done. The metals are crucial in the industries like aerospace, electronics, and nuclear power. That means future. Right there. This is technology. They are used in applications like laser, cancer therapy, semiconductors, defense technology, and many other high-tech innovations. And this is what's important about this, is that the Chinese, they impose sanctions. They say, we're not going to send this to the United States of America. All right, let me show you here, right here, the next one. Sputnik. U.S. cannot wean itself off China. And this is one of the reasons. Trump may talk much about U.S. becoming self-sufficient, but his big words cannot Trump reality. All right, and what do we have here? China's ability to deal with environment impact and rare earth refining made the country a global leader in the area, with Chinese industries processing about 85% of the world's rare earth oxides. Right it? Okay, so they stopped. They will not give to the Americans. I think it was one of the articles I read that Xi Jinping stopped providing the Americans with these metals. They said we're not going to send them on the global market. And here is this article: China's rare earth restrictions could send U.S. nuclear industry into meltdown. The new restrictions are a masterstroke that will propel the Asian nation's nuclear industry forward as the U.S. stagnates. China's response to Trump's tariffs includes new restrictions on the export of critical elements, effective immediately. Exports containing strategic minerals have to apply for a Chinese Ministry of Economy export license, including details on their use. And they say painful blow. So they say restoring production in the US would be extremely tricky, according to the Observer. That means you can't do it. And that's only with that rare earth minerals or materials. But it's not only that. They produce, we don't. And by the time we, the Americans, will bounce back, is going to be maybe a few years, let's say 10 years at least, until you put everything together, the supply chain and all that, together to have manufacturing everything you need. And you don't have the resources. What are you going to do? Bomb Russia? No, you make a deal with Russia. That's why Trump is very friendly with Russia, because he's trying to fight China as well. I think Trump took on too many countries, too many enemies, and that shows US's limits. Remember, United States of America put tariffs on 180 countries or so, all of a sudden, matching tariffs. But then when he saw that some bowed down, some didn't, he said, okay, let's go to China. He stopped for 90 days all tariffs on everybody else, and he focused only on one. That means he can't beat them. It was a bluff. It failed. And I said, in order to fight one guy, remember, I placed tariffs on 180 out of 194 or 193 countries, if you take US out or whatever. And the world watches, and they know, and they laugh. You lose in Ukraine, you can't beat Russia with all your NATO 30-some countries, coalitions, and so on. And now you get on China, you blackmail everybody, and then you realize you can't do it. So then you say, call me. He's not going to call you. You lost already. It's going to be negotiations. That's what's going to be in the end. And until the Americans are eager, unfortunately, they are in that position. They're eager to talk to China from equal, not like that, then it's going to be the same with the Russians. The Russians demand that you talk to us as an equal. And this guy said, no, we're going to talk to you however we want. Okay, went to Ukraine, boop, they brought the balance here. Now the Chinese, they speak like this, and the China will get here after this trade war. Unless China will break. And China will not break because they have Russia as well. And not only. If these guys want to switch off the resources, the Americans will go down a little bit for a few decades until they build back their basic, and they have resources, unless they go over Canada, take over and get their resources as well, and everywhere else but the BRICS countries and their satellites. Not those satellites, but the satellite countries. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.